request. You may also have seen in the news that we are now relinquishing control for the helicopter service, the NPAS. We've looked after it. We've been the custodian for 9.5 to 10 years. We've done our incredible to keep those helicopters really unique, 24/7, borderless service, a really 5-star service. It was always intended to be shared across the patch, and we've taken the responsibility. It takes up an enormous amount of resources, senior leadership team time, and I think it's time for others to take that responsibility. I raised this with the Minister. Whilst he couldn't commit, he did see the reason why we were giving notice, which is a formal procedure where you give 12 months notice. It has kicked the Home Office into action, and I do feel very optimistic and positive about the outcomes over the next few months, that there will be a real turbocharge to find a solution to this issue, because if someone is doing a great job, you're not going to want to take it off them if it's going to eat into your resources. And I did feel that across the country there were other forces potentially sat on their hands while we did a phenomenal job, but it was a real strain for us. So that's the update on current issues. Obviously, my door is open to anyone that wants to raise issues. If I could just quickly mention, though, that I didn't at the beginning of my remarks, and it was remiss of me, to thank you all for the work that you've done during COVID, keeping our communities safe, ensuring people have food parcels, medicines, keeping us going, befriending services and so on. And as councillors, you're really in the front line, and I just want to thank you for that. And also keeping us safe, the work that you do in your communities, working with those people who have had robberies or their antisocial behaviour is blighting their lives, how you organise and how you make sure that escalates to get responses. And I will always be happy to speak to people on an individual basis. So those are the items that I wanted to raise this afternoon, and obviously happy to take any questions. As week 5 in the role, I may not have all the drill down detail, and you will have to excuse me if I defer to my fantastic colleagues in the police service. So happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mayor Reagan. Thank you for your commitment and welcoming the opportunity for panel members to approach you and ask for any question, clarification and information at any time. It's very welcome, and I'm sure the panel members will have seen the press release Sam was circulated yesterday on NPAS, and very brave, tough decision, as rightly so for the reasons as you have suggested. So we welcome that decision. Can I just start off with a question just on, as you know, there's a huge backlog in our courts. First, it was without being political, austerity, the court closures, then the pandemic. Now there was some mention of Nightingale courts. When will they be in function?
I think having spoken to the outgoing Police and Crime Commissioner and others on this very subject, it makes sense, doesn't it? If you've got a backlog, well, let's just have more courts opened and let's identify places where we can set them up and get through the backlog. But unfortunately, it isn't just about the venues. There has been a really brilliant effort in opening the courts that we have. The speed at which cases are going through has increased. The outcomes of cracked cases, which are actually don't go on from the magistrate courts to county courts, that's the correct one. Crown courts. Those numbers have gone up, which is really welcome. The problem is with Nightingale is the staff. So where are the extra resources? We have a real staffing issue at the moment. So it is in turbocharging that recruitment to underpin any expansion that we're going to have. But let's not forget, you only have to go to Dewsbury to see the magistrate court is closed, the Crown Court is closed. It's really frustrating for us because they were the heart of these towns. They increased footfall, they made people proud of their communities. So it's something I'm also looking into. What is the processes? How would you go about it? Opening up more local town opportunities. Obviously, it's opportunities for jobs as well locally, so you don't have to commute into cities. But it is on my radar. The problem is recruitment. I don't know if the Chief Constable wants to add to my thoughts.
Thank you.
Exactly. Second, what the Mayor said, it is not just about venues, it's about the core staff, the ushers, responsibility, and the really to hold jury trial. I think the court's moved into that space, and then they're now looking at it more in terms of administrative processes, administrative courts. So they've got to maximise the space, the time, the opening hours of what they've got now, including into the evenings and weekends, first with the existing staff. I think it comes back to many of their other previous reduction budgets that are causing challenges, but we offered to and are working with them all the way along as they go along.
Thank you, Brother, and Mayor David on this. We've got 3 questions on this item. I'll start off with, because we've only got 13 minutes or 12 minutes left before we go into the next section of the meeting. I'll have to be on time and up to 11. Previous chair used to be breaking, so on time, finishing meeting. So, first of all, Councillor Sarah Courtney.
Actually, my question is that was the one that I did already ask about the report.
Okay. Thank you. Roger Rossi.
Just to add to our list of court closures, Wakefield and Halifax courts also closed in 2018, and there is clear evidence that for some victims, particularly in the southeast of the Wakefield district, travelling to Leeds, a major deterrent in actually bothering to go and give evidence at Leeds Magistrates Court. My question was more about your other roles, as it were, as a major player in coordinating the local criminal justice partners. We tend to focus, and we have done this morning, on the work of the police. But as the Chief Constable reminds me quite regularly, outcomes for victims isn't the sole responsibility of the police force. There are other partners, the Crown Prosecution Service, Probation Service, and courts, etc., that produce victim satisfaction figures. I'm just thinking, I don't know whether you publish this, but how do you propose to discharge those functions in your office? Will you retain some of those yourself? Or do you propose to delegate some of those to the Deputy Mayor? And what sort of priorities do you envisage, say, in the first 100 days of your position in respect of criminal justice more broadly?
Thank you.
That's an extensive list of questions, and I think we probably need to have over a coffee because there's as we are time pressed. But certainly, having been on the meeting only yesterday with the criminal justice partners, can I just say they're doing a phenomenal job putting victims and outcomes really at the front of their thinking. That's where I was hearing about their expectations for more throughput in the courts, and also the work that they're doing supporting people to actually get to court so that they can have the support they need to make sure that it doesn't drop away and that the evidence is there and it won't be just deemed unstable evidence. So it's going to be a really important role. It will be a role that the Deputy Mayor will undertake on an ongoing basis. Obviously, I'm the Mayor and also with responsibilities for police and crime, which we had a police and crime commissioner, so it was a full-time job. So you won't be surprised to know that there will be delegations. And I can't think of anybody more capable of being delegated to than my nominee. I would say in my first 100 days, I think it is about setting the direction of travel and making sure that, for example, the education programme is taken up across the region, because that's where we impact on, as I say, the upstream work, but also having round tables with those people that are making the difference on the ground, because I'm in a position where I'm impatient for change. I want to be bold. I want to listen to those ideas that will deliver the best outcomes, which is less women being murdered in our community, young women being able to go about their business without fear of being assaulted, and also educating young men around consent, and also being educating young men to be able to be honest with their friends about what is appropriate behaviour, and that's where education comes in. So there's a whole raft of commitments. All of my manifesto commitments have itemised points leading up to the 100 days, but I'm hoping that you won't be disappointed when we get to that point, because it is absolutely a priority. The 5 years I spent in Parliament, you'll see my commitment there was 100%, and it will be 100% as Mayor.
Thank you very much for your commitment on these very important issues. Final question from Councillor Richard Dover. I'm on the dimension of the
Thank you, Chair. Great to hear your response, Tracy, on the review into the discussion low level of rape convictions in this force and actually across the country. Now, from speaking to some victims of rape in the past 24 hours about their views on what the government said, whilst I think the apology was welcome, like you said, the key thing that's come across for me, and it really irritates me and I'm getting angry about actually, is the lack of urgency in getting change. I know that's not with you, because I think you make your position very clear, but it's the lack of urgency of a plan to implement the change, but also where was the commitment to the additional resource and funding to make this change happen a lot sooner than it should, because we talked about in 2 meetings ago, and John gave a very eloquent response in terms of what Yorkshire Police are doing, but when you've got a 9.1 positivity rate for rape and serious sexual assault in West Yorkshire, that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible, and that's not encouraging women to come forward if they're not thinking their cases are going to be dealt with and taken seriously. So I suppose it's just a plea again to let's try and do what we can to get the government to put the resource, and actually the apology is welcome. Actually, don't need your apologies now. We need your investment, your commitment to getting that 9.1% rate up to 90%, 100%.
If I may say, we're in agreement, and I'll be writing to the Minister with my thoughts on what was announced last night. You're right, that an apology is the step in the right direction, but what's underpinned that apology? What are the practical elements of it? Where's the money? Where's the support? We have the talented people to deliver on the ground. We've got a really talented police force that want to see those outcomes. They didn't come into policing so that their hard work can then fall at the first hurdle, or that victims feel unsupported, or that it's going to take so long they can't go through it because the trauma was so great. No one goes into policing for that. They want to get those people who have committed crimes to pay the price. They want justice for victims. And we will be banging that drum, and I will be making the case to the Minister, okay, thank you for your apology. What does that mean for us here in West Yorkshire? We're ready to implement it. We'll move heaven and earth to implement new strategies driven by new budgets, new money. We'll be innovative, we'll be bold, tell us what to do, give us the money, we'll do it.
Thank you very much. Amanda, you have to be quick. I'll give you an opportunity.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate that. Ms. Reagan, you are in a very powerful position as Mayor, and I appreciate that you don't exactly have complete power over what I'm going to ask you. The West Yorkshire Casualty Reduction Partnership is a bit made up of various partners, but none are elected members. It's currently undergoing a criteria change. We have speeding all over West Yorkshire, and some of it is by illegal drivers, but much of it is by drivers who could be caught and prosecuted. However, we are not able to change the criteria for putting speed cameras in where they are needed, rather than where West Yorkshire Casualty Partnership think they should be. This just isn't working anymore. The world has changed,